Boom! We're live, Miss Jennifer.
Hello, Jesse. How are you?
Oh my goodness! I am capital and fantastical all at the same time. Today has
Okay.
been just a fantastic day, and then I'm like, okay, man. I'm going live with Jen here in a little
You
bit.
are. And so today we're gonna flip the script a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So I know a lot of people are used to you driving the train, driving the bus, and which you do an amazing job at. And I love that you kind of take some of that off of me. But today I want the focus to be on you and some of the things you're doing. So I'm gonna try very hard. Probably won't be able to do it to your level, but I'm gonna try to kind of take the lead on the conversation and mainly the questions so that you can help our audience understand why we're even on today. Is that cool?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I
Okay.
submit. I submit.
Okay. So the first thing I want to do is like SQI at Learning Days. So we're going to hit that in a minute. But like, what is the event that happens that is labeled Learning Days? Like, can you talk through the event first, and then I got another question.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do my best to answer that. It's Congress.
Yes.
It's LCI Congress in Arlington going down. Man, it's like 2 weeks away, Jen.
It's like less than 2 weeks.
It is right on us. And I got to tell you, like, I'm too stoked about it because I keep like, who am I going to meet? I got a couple little secret announcements that I'm going to float out if we have time. But the whole thing is Congress. LCI Congress is happening, and not next week, but the very following week. Monday, Tuesday's learning day, or Monday there's a golf tournament. Monday, Tuesday, there's learning days. Wednesday, Thursday is the the main deal with all the breakout sessions and just massive amounts of stuff going on. Rather knowledge sharing and exchanging. And then Friday's Gemba Day. Like, it's a week. I'm pretty damn excited.
Okay, so I want to lay the groundwork a little bit. So number one is you were in San Diego last year.
Yes.
And you got to do a little bit of what this is at one of the breakout sessions to kind of give a taste or a flavor of this.
Yes.
So tell me about that experience, and then I'm going to transition into how we got to where we are right now.
Oh, okay. So last year, luckily, actually, Miss Lynn Randall, and I co-facilitated a little breakout session. It was the SQI microdose, sweat equity improvement. Don't ask me about the acronym. That me and Adam were brainstorming one day, and I liked the way SQI sounded. I was like, yeah, I like that. But sweat equity improvement. And so it was a super condensed version. That's why it's called the microdose of the answer to production problems, the better answer to production problems, right? Usually the typical response is more people, manpower. I'm not saying that that's bad, but if you do this, apply this thinking, this methodology, you will get more production with those additional people. Or you may even find that you don't need more people and you don't need overtime. You just redesign the work by making it better for the people. And so Lynn and I got to present that to the group, which was super. I mean, it was San Diego, right? But we had a lot of good interaction, a lot of good questions. We had some, mind shifts happen in the middle of the session. And then we got feedback about this needs to be like a full day workshop. And I said, I need to tinker around with that. So I've actually delivered it a few times and turned it into a full day workshop, because really like doing it on the job and training people, which you have some experience with, it's a commitment, right? There's a lot of stuff, but at the very least, the idea of the workshop came from that presentation in Congress last year and kind of planted the seed for the workshop that is going to be happening here in less than 2 weeks.
I know. So a little bit of background too is, so yes, that happened in San Diego, which was cool because it kind of gave some people a taste of what it is.
Yep.
Leading up to that, I personally have, with Lynn, went through this entire program, I'm going to say. And when you're going through it outside of like a captive audience at LCIs, things like that, for us, it was over 8 to 10 weeks. It was pretty long. And then we're meeting, we're doing some homework, we're then coming back and sharing, doing some evaluation, doing some more homework. So there was the cycles of going through that to learn kind of how do you start and then how do you build upon that to be able to make work better and to make work less hard. And so that's my experience. So, and it was awesome because Keon Zandy and I are co-chairing this Congress. So sometimes it's all the little parts that move together. So went through that, lots of value. Then also learning days is 2 full days or a day and a half where we take lean concepts, things that are really out there to help for continuous improvement, to eliminate waste, to make life better for people. And it's not so much, let me show you what I've done, but it's actual, like you're learning the skills, you're learning the steps and the process to be able to do something. Yes. And so it's like, that's the beginning of the week. And then you go in and people talk about like your microdose, things that you've been able to accomplish. And you have a full day on Tuesday to kind of walk a group of people through what this is, but they're going to actually like do the work. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Okay. So first I want to bring up an accomplice.
Oh, yes.
Adam Huge says SQI, True Lean in Action, huge fan here, who he also has been through the virtual version of it. And that was kind of like the challenge, right? Because when I do it in person, it's intense and we're actually out there engaging with the workforce, redesigning the work, making it better, studying it, measuring it, all the things. And so it's like, man, how do we have the same awakenings in a virtual place? And so you've experienced that. Yes. And so it's introduce a concept, apply the concept, introduce a concept, apply the concept. We introduce it on the virtual call. Between calls, you go do the thing, and then we come back and discuss the learning. It's like, okay, so that's the framework. So when I start thinking about the workshop, it's like, okay, how do we do that? Now, the less than awesome part in the workshop is we haven't figured out how to simulate actually engaging with the work or the worker, more importantly, the worker. So that's kind of imaginary. We talk about it. But in terms of like introducing the concept and then applying the concept, I said, what if I do this? And so I framed it that way. I've done it a few times now, and it's like, oh, it's working. And we did. I mean, I think the first run we actually did at the Dallas COP. Yes. It was a Dallas COP event, and that's where I learned, like, okay, 4 hours is nowhere near enough time because I was just running through everything. And the reason, like, the time component is not all the talking I'm going to do. It's the application of the concept on the thing, right? And I'll talk about that here in a second. The conversations that are had amongst the group to come to an understanding or at least a consensus on which direction they're going to go. That's where the time is. And so it's super engaging for everybody. And then concept, and then, going through the thing again. And so the where I cracked the nut, like the thing that I had to figure out is the amount of time it takes to actually break down the work and identify all the steps and add all the seconds and all of that. There was no way to build that into the workshop. Mm-hmm. So I pre-populated one for everybody to work off of as the template. Everybody's working off the same template, which is awesome because everybody comes with different ideas of how to make that work better. And everybody comes up with a different understanding or frame of reference in terms of like what Zoom level they're studying the work from, of shared understanding of value add, incidental, or maybe not a shared understanding, but they find somebody usually gives up is okay, fine. Same thing, looking at work in terms of cycles. And by work, I mean like the actual installation. And so we watch a video, it's a 5-minute video. Kind of there's an awakening that happens there to help people understand like the source or the pool of opportunity that we miss in terms of where and how we can make the work better for the people that have their hands on the tools doing the work. And so we have that awakening, and then it's okay, now let's break this thing up into like the nano details so that we can quantify how much of that work is hard. And this is all like, this is the core thing. It is focusing on the work that steals life from our people, which sets the foundation to overcome resistance to change, sets the foundation to start building relationships with the individuals, like if you're doing it in real life. Anyways, so the whole workshop, I'm like, okay, if we tweak this and I tweak that, so that we can introduce these things, like how do we look at it differently? How do we approach it so we're respectful, right? We're not coming up to people and saying, hey, that's stupid. Why do you do it that way? And we're saying, hey, we noticed that this looks like it's like painful. What if we tried this? Would you be open to that? And then ultimately on the back end, which is the question that you hear all the time, right? How do you make it stick? Like, it's fine, we're going to put all this time and energy into making the thing work, fixing it here, but we do this thing on every freaking project we're on. It's like, so we have a solution for that, right? Of how do you standardize so that you can scale the thing? And so like, that's the whole, I mean, overarching, and I stole this from Lance. He's like, oh, so what you're doing is you're humanizing the work, optimizing the installation, and scaling those improvements. I'm like, dude, I need a tattoo. So that is what I am going to be torturing. And well, here's the first announcement. That is what we are going to be torturing people with. And by we, I mean, and you know what? I should have invited them to be on this freaking live stream, and I'm brain dead. So folks out there in the Omniverse, we are going to have a, man, I don't know what to call it, OG meetup at the SQI Learning Days SQI session, because Jennifer Lacey, Adam Hoots, and Sean Moran are going to be co-facilitators with me. So it's going to be all four of us in there. There may be a fifth. We'll see how that works out. To help make sure everybody so to make sure everybody gets, like, nobody gets stuck and everybody can progress and go forward, because Adam's been through it, you've been through it, and Sean have been through it. And what I think, I got to say this, what's really most important to me is that you all come from a people-centered focus. And like, for real, if you're a people-centered leader, or if you know that you should be, this will help you get there. And so that's kind of the evolution of this dang workshop. And I can't, man, I'm stoked.
Okay, so two things. Number one is, yes, been through it. And I'm going to tell you, so I guess I want a call to action for people that are out there listening, or those that run across this feed and go, well, I'm going to be at Congress, and I'm maybe thinking about Learning Days, or I'm already, was looking at this Learning Day, but not sure which one. I'm going to tell you from someone who gets to watch a lot of work being put in place, but also working with teams, working organizationally, like all the things that you're doing out there, trying to lead to be better, for your people to be better, for your organizations to be better, for your projects to be better. If you go through this, you will never look at work the same. You will never look at work being put in place. It doesn't matter if it's the drywaller, if it's the guy tying rebar, if it's the guy doing in wall, the guy doing above ceiling. It does not matter. You will, the things that, like, what Jesse forces you to see and look at, and it's one that it's there everywhere you go, every job you're on. We are trained and conditioned, Jesse taught me this, you are conditioned to look for certain things based on your role, based on what's important, based on the client. We are conditioned to look at certain things. And what he does is he almost takes those blinders off. He takes the things off that makes us only look at certain things, and we see everything. And then you're able to really understand why there's struggles, why we have people having, not being able to get the work done they need to. You're getting to see a lot of the whys, and sometimes it's not on the person doing the work. It's the people that are trying to plan the work for them.
Yes.
So just all of those things were takeaways from going through and just sitting and really like looking at work differently, and production. Everybody talks about production, and we kind of have these little nuggets here and there. And what Jesse kind of has broken down and has really created this system of being able to study it, it's you are able to understand why and how, but also what can you do, what can you impact, little impacts here that long term can make not only the person doing the work, their job a little bit easier, but also the outcomes.
Yeah.
So that's what I got from it.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you. And I'm glad this is all caught on video. I'm using that as a testimonial, girl. But like that's the thing. And little more background. When I got introduced to like the different elements that I kind of all brought together, that was this like the slap in the face. I could not unsee it. I'm like, oh damn. I mean, hell, I used to do like real work. I used to have a real job and install stuff. And I was a foreman. I was superintendent for the trades. And I didn't look at work that way. And once I was introduced to the hands and eyes level of studying work, and you can't unsee it, right? And that's the fun part is some people get a little anxious, like, oh my God, there's so much waste. Like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's always been there. You just didn't see it. You just didn't see it. It's okay. Pick something, I have a little strategy target sheet that I'll give people so that if they get really anxious about it, to help them kind of target, right? People have the data. You got warranty items, callbacks. That is a good place to target this thinking at. You got injuries, soft tissue injuries, recurring injuries and incidents. That is a good target to apply this thinking to. It is the awesomest. And like you said, Jen, I think you've heard me say before, right? Like, well, freaking leaders, if they would just get out of the office, the carpet dwellers, all they do is worry about the budget and the schedule. Well, yeah, because that's their job. And they've been conditioned. We have been conditioned to see things through a specific lens, which means we're blind to the other stuff. We're not ignoring it. Most of us aren't. And so helping people see, like, wait a minute, look a little bit closer. And ultimately, when I do a good job, is people will walk away from there and say, holy crap, I can apply this thinking to any trade and to any element of work, meaning knowledge work also, right? Not just installation. Of course, the way I teach it and my approach is 100, it's super, super focused on how do we make the work better for the men and women that are doing the work in the field. That doesn't mean it can't be applied to, a broader spectrum. That's just I'll say the audience that I have underserved. And so I'm focusing all my energy in that direction. And so, my goal is twist people's brains around, right? Give them 3 big giant takeaways. 1, where the hidden improvements are. 2, how to overcome resistance to change. And 3, how to standardize the improvement so they can scale that bad boy. If I can slap everybody in the face with that stuff, I think I'd be feeling pretty good after the session, Jen.
Awesome. Okay. So, I want to give a little context here. So again, we're doing a full day session. You're like 8 hours with Jesse. That's a lot. It's a lot, but he's also, he brings a little bit of humor in there every once in a while. So, but it's 8 hours. And still, Jesse, it's still not everything because you're in a space where you're having to like make some assumptions. So what I heard from what you said earlier is you took some of the things that, they're pretty general, like what other people, the takeaways, things like that, and you've just made those standard. So you're just going to come in with some standard work that is very easy. And hey, this is what we're all going to look at, and this is what we're all going to do. And then there's also components with groups, looking at and studying work that are going to get to go and take their ideas or their thoughts and then learn a little bit and then come back and share. And then the groups are going to get to share. And then, so there's still some interaction and activity and things, even though you're going to try to get a lot of information in an 8 hour, 6 or 7 hour period. Is that what?
Yeah. It's a contact. The best way I could describe it is it is a contact workshop. There's going to be some cussing and discussing. There's going to be some arguments. There's going to be some conflict. And I wish I could design that in. I don't have to. It just happens,
Mhm.
especially when we have the conversation about what is value add and what is incidental. Like every time it's a debate, and it's a health. Here's what I like about that part is it is a healthy debate. A, B, if you're a green person, don't know nothing about lean, like this is your first time, it is going to shape your thinking in a very important way.
Mhm.
C, if you're like an experienced master lean guru, it's going to shape your experience as well. And so it helps, again, it helps expand our zoom level. Most of us are looking at work and improvement from this 30,000 foot view, and we don't have the context to apply the thinking, the frameworks at the ground level. That conversation in and of itself creates that context that when people walk away, it's a different understanding. That's not to say a lot of people are going to get it right away, but a lot of people aren't. And when we break up into groups, that's why it's like, here is the concept. Now go apply it to your understanding. And everybody wants the silver bullet, the right answer. And I ain't there to give silver bullets or right answers. I'm there to help people make it make sense for themselves. And so that's the part. Bro, do you remember that part, Jen?
Yes. Okay, so I do want to make a statement based on those of you that are planning on being at Congress and you're considering learning days, or you're already thinking about maybe this is something you want to do. When you go and you register, Jesse has been very intentional. It is going to be labeled under fundamental. This is a fundamental class. And those of you that have been in lean for a while, and maybe you're a little, got some gray hair, seasoned, things like that, you're going to go, I'm not fundamental. I've been doing this for a while. So there's a reason it's labeled fundamental. So number one, Jesse already said it. He said it because those that are coming in, would be a great way for them to start their journey, to have this lens to look at work. But even those of us that have been in it a while, it is going to be a way for us to take those blinders off. And
Yes.
We've been doing something that's been working and that we've done great in our careers, but it is going to make you look at work differently. And when we talk about production, especially in lean, a lot of people look at that differently. Like, what does that mean? Is it manpower? Is it equipment? Is it work? Is it pieces per hour? Like, there's a lot of different ways people look at production. This is going to allow everyone in the room. Doesn't matter if you've been in the industry for 20 years. Doesn't matter if it's your first year in the industry. It doesn't matter. You're all going to be able to look at it through this lens.
Yes.
And then when you're out there, no matter who you're interacting with, like you have a vision that is very similar to what somebody next to you is looking at. And so again, it's going to help with some of those conversations when it comes to doing the work.
Yes. Thank you, Jen. And so we got some comments.
Okay.
Mr. Hootie Hoot says, this work matters. It's so funny how often we walk in the field, but have little to no idea about what we are seeing. Listen with your eyes. And that's one of the points I'm making. The thing is like, man, you can see the pain in the work by just looking at the people, their face, the way they're breathing, the way they grit their teeth. That helps us understand like, oh, there's a freaking improvement opportunity. And then Dr. Alejandra, oh, I love it. She's like, stop our cruise control every once in a while, or stopping our cruise control every once in a while is critical. And so, yeah, my goal is to break everybody's cruise control, right? And see things. I like the way you pointed it out. Like we all kind of look at production. We have a different context around it, and they're all valuable. They're all true. My assumption is that this level of production, very, very few people even think about or even aware that it can be affected, right? Because back to the conditioning, most of us think in the GC space well, it's means and methods. So it's up to them to do it however they want to do it. And if they're not making the schedule, then they just need more people and overtime. Like, okay, there's some truth there. That's some conditioned thinking. But I know some projects where they said, this is how we're going to do this. We're going to strategically pick scopes of work to redesign them so that we can have some schedule gain, so that we can improve safety, so we can improve quality, one thing or all of the above, and then just went into the whole thing to see like, oh my goodness, okay, down here at the nano level, major impact. And now let's zoom out a little bit. And so what I think, or my goal is, we already have this high level view and understanding or a specific context around production. And if I can give people a closer look, and what happens, or what I've seen happen, is that people that live here and all of a sudden get introduced to this at the micro level, they can then apply it, toggle back and forth and adjust their zoom level and improve the hell out of all kinds of work to better serve the people doing the work. Like, that is the effect. That is why this is one of my addictions, is because if I can slam people on the head and shift their lenses just enough to look at work differently and approach the improvement of the work differently, then I'll have served my purpose. Like, that's.
So I want to do one clarification, one example, and then we'll do closing thoughts. Are you good with that?
Yes. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
So I want to clarify. I want to make sure, because we're talking a lot about the people doing the work, Jesse, I want to make sure we're clear. They're not doing anything wrong. They're doing what they were taught.
Correct.
Okay. And so some of the onus falls on us that have a little bit more authority or a little bit more sway on how we can change things. And this class helps you look at that, helps you kind of, and some of it, and my example is very simple, Jesse, because you were a part of it, but we were at a job site and we had a couple of lean superintendents there. And I'm like, let Jesse just walk you through real quick kind of what SQI is. And so very quickly, we went out, we found someone that was tying rebar. They were tying rebar, and we asked them, hey, could we watch you do some work? So we all stood around him and watched him tie the rebar. And he was going in based on the way he was taught and trained. And he was tying rebar with a screwdriver. That's what we saw. We observed it. We made some notes. We talked about, and then we left that and we went back, which is kind of, we're going to do that cycle in the class. We went back and we talked about, what did we see? How long was this taking? Things like that. And, what was were there issues? He was doing exactly what he was supposed to do. That was his job. Yep. And one of the comments from one of the superintendents in the room was, well, they make a tool that does that. And it's better on his hands, and it's probably safer, and it's only like $25. That's an example of, very small example, but a small example of exactly what SQI is. Is that correct? Yeah, 100%. And I'll add to that, like, $25, they should know better. They should. Like, you're just abdicating your authority and your influence. And you're shooting all over people. And so it's like, you know what? It's a $25 thing. And how many times do they do that task? It is going to have massive impact in terms of labor savings, time savings, and the risk of doing it with the improper tool. Like, it has massive, like, compounding gains, but you will never see that the way we walk jobs right now. You got to stop and look at the work from the eyes and hand level thing. Listen with your eyes of what is hard about the task. It's not about judging or critiquing them, because somebody said, hey man, I want you to go tie the unistrut or the rebar or whatever it is. Go tie that. He said, okay, I'll figure out how to tie it. Like, that's what happens. Yeah. And then somebody walks by and you're not using the right tool. Like, no. Sure, you can critique them. How about freaking help them and let the hard work, the uncomfortable work, be the guide to set the direction on what to improve and what to make better. So yes. So awesome. I'm gonna just do a final thought as a question, and I'm gonna let you wrap it up. Are we good with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So my final thought is, hopefully people get to hear this. You're probably going to repurpose it, things like that. Just see, is there anyone that would not find value in coming into this room at any level, executive level, all the way down to people putting work into place, and every level in between? Would anyone not get value out of this? Yes. There's one very specific personality that won't get any value out of this. It is a personality that thinks the trades are dumbasses, that thinks that we don't have any experience out there. People don't care. Everybody sucks. Every project I've been on, it just gets worse and worse.
So the person that is a blamer and a finger pointer, they're not going to get anything out of it. Everybody else absolutely will get something out of it.
Awesome. Okay, well, Jesse, I'm excited when I get to hang out with you too. Congress is getting very, very close, and our ask is that if you're going to be there and you haven't signed up for a learning day yet, we would love for you to come hang out with us.
Absolutely. Come by, take some selfies. I know Dr. Alish, she's like, man, I'm not going to be there for the whole thing, but I'm going to be there. Like, come on by. And the final announcement, and then we got to do our dance, Jen.
Okay.
Here's the final announcement for everybody. There is going to be a post SQI workshop happy hour that I'm hosting down the road. So come to the workshop, and then we can go nerd out and relax and have some appetizers and get to know each other a little better at the happy hour. I'm going to be inviting as many COP members as possible because y'all have been volunteering your butts off. And I just want to recognize you and appreciate you. And of course, all the other lean construction freaks out there. Keep an eye out for the invite, and also know if you don't get the invite, it ain't because I don't love you. It's because I was too lazy to find your email address, and you're invited too. So we'll see y'all there later. All right, Jen, hit the music.